Very good. So welcome back post lunch into my session, and then in this particularly in the cloud security summit, I'll be talking around the things, and please do participate in the quiz, and we have lots of exciting prizes. Do not forget to attend the quiz. And thank you for support causing which we are you can see those kids, right? And these kids as a community team is helping, and I'm also a part of it. So if you feel you wanted to contribute, please do reach out to our organizers and help them. So that's the way we can make sure that we can grow together and help them who actually need a help, right? It's not about the money, but if you can contribute around the educations or train around it, and if you feel it, you can also contribute on that part also. Okay, so this is session 7, and I just wanted to walk through around what is confidential computing and how you're going to protect your data. A little bit about myself. I'm a cloud solution architect and Microsoft Azure MVP mentor and author of 2 books. Apart from that, I do train 10K or more than more than people or trainees around the world. And apart from that, I'm mentoring so many guys, motivating and all of those things. So if you wanted to reach out to me after the sessions, my LinkedIn is there, and I'll be really happy to help you out. So let's just say why this confidential computing is needed. What is, like, Microsoft has everything there, right? In terms of security, in terms of anything, right? There are bunch of tools, Sentinel, and all of those things. But what is the need of the confidential computing is here, right? There are couple of use cases which I will also walk you through on that part. Let us say the data which you are going to put in Microsoft Azure, either in storage account or your compute or SQL databases anywhere, right? Data would be encrypted at rest or in transit, right? But there is always a question, what will happen if while rest or in transit, in between those, if I'm using my data, right? Or let's just say in use, if I'm utilizing my data and someone is trying to hack, or there is, a human error, or there would be, bad code or something like that, right? So how it will, it will be exposed. And so how you're going to, encrypt those data so I can make sure that my data is literally secure. And that's where the confidential computing came, right? So it protects your data while it's in data in use. So what will happen? It will protect and encrypt your data while in the, utilizing the RAM or during the consumptions, right? Data at rest and data in transit, it will be encrypting your data in a global storage account or data. Then you'll also data in transit, like while putting your virtual networks around it or untrusted public network, right? And you put your data, and then let's just say it's replicating from one locations to another locations. Like if you use the storage account, there is a policies called LRS, GRS, and all, right, which replicates. Or let's just say the data is moving from the data at the time you put into your storage account, and then data will take some times to go to Microsoft data centers and in between, right? So what will happen? Always the customers in terms of governance, healthcare, right? Finance customer, they always has this questions. Okay, why? Why cannot we encrypt those data? Why cannot we uh, do some things around it and all of those things? So what it does, it just perform and computing in your hardware based, which is called as a TEA. I'll give you another example. If you just 5 years to 6 years or 7 years of experience, or let's just say you might heard about the PGP encryptions or the BitLocker encryptions. Whenever we boot our systems, right? I have seen that we have this, PGP encryptions comes. We'll put the passwords, and then it will log into the Windows, right? So that's the way it just encrypt from the hardware level. That will happen to the BIOS level, but it is, this is doing on the RAM and above level. So the virtualizations layers would be there, but they will be using some codes around it which you cannot, hack, or TET cannot read or tamper that code outside your environment if you're going to put in. And then only the authorization code, or the basically the trusted execution environment, which they call TEE, is only the authorized code to encrypt and decrypt your environment. So if someone is trying to hit outside of your network, they cannot able to get into it, because your code they will use to encrypt your data from the RAM level, from the hardware level to the upper sides. It will say it is outside of your network and you cannot change it, right? It do also protect your sensitive data and highly regulated data sets, that's when in your applications workload, right? So that is where that cloud, like confidential computing, is really matters, and they have a different several instances. I'll be walking through that as well. Okay, so now Microsoft Azure has covered end-to-end encryptions, data, wherever your data is put in at rest, in transit, as well as while you are utilizing the data as well, right? These are the three things. What could be the business use cases? I got this slide from MS Docs, and it's just really good. If you can think of, okay, as a solution architect or as an administration, you might, facing your customer or client, or someone, right? They'll always have an, someone is did a mistake or it's a human error. Your connections would increase, or let's just say exposed to an internet. Someone come and hit your network, or probably did some things, they got that data. And in the recent years, we have seen a lot, right? And it is happening. So whenever this is a major concerns for these three sectors, which is government and then financial and then healthcare. Let us say, if how you're going to secure my digital identity if we have any of the system which is as infrastructure systems or the data.
Yeah,
Excuse
can you, yeah, okay, please mute yourself if you are unmuted.
Thank you. So let us say if you have some of the critical data, let us say government files, or it will say as in India, it could be high profile cases file, which is they don't want it to share apart from the government officially, but still they wanted to utilize the digitalizations kind of systems, the anti-corruption policies, the crime prevention stuff, what they are doing, the judicial proceedings, right? The deploy and disconnect operations, the safeguarding and vulnerabilities, protection, all of those things, like government wanted to save, they don't want it to expose, right? Let's just say if there is, several cases with the, any of the government higher officials, if public will know, they'll know how they are working, or probably they will be, exposed, or there would be, couple of any very confidential things which, hit to the country, right? They wanted to save that also. So that's the reasons they would need a confidential computing to, protect their data end to end. Then the financial, let's just say, if you are working with a financial company, or if you are, working with a financial client, their major things, okay, someone is trying and put some code, though even they are, more secure, but mistakes has happen anywhere and everywhere. And you can see it in the, news also, that how the data leakage has happened in last couple of years is incrementally increased. Or there would be, you are applying for a loan, there would be some process which runs, right? If we did some mistakes in that process, probably I have seen a couple of news a year back that a couple of the accounts they got in, they applied for the 10 lakh and they got more than that, the 10 probably 10 times more in their account, right? What will happen if they will have to, connect to their, department to, recover that money, and all of those efforts they have to put in. Or probably how they are going to, make sure our data or the credit risk assessments or the qualifications and all of those things, the bank records would be secure while we are utilizing the data, because that is the needed, the digital currencies, the blockchain, right? How are you going to secure your blockchain related stuffs or the digital currencies? How are you going to make sure your payment is secure whenever you are having a credit card transactions or the bank transactions and all of those things, right? The property analytics and algorithm and all of those things, how you're going to make sure that you might be building up some of the great services around the transactions you have done, a lot of other stuff. But what will happen if something is goes miss? Your data would be missed, or file would be missed, right? That is a complete loss to the company. Then healthcare, like recently I'm really sorry to say, recently we have come up with this COVID. Everything is fine, but now it is okay. But while they are developing that vaccine, if one company got this whole fundamental things, the another company is put in hacker and they will took it out of it, right? They'll make their own product, and it's a loss to their companies and their scientists which they are putting day in and out, right? And all of those things, if they are working on some of those diseases or diagnostics or the drug development, or let's just say some of the contact traces records and all of those things, or insurance fraud, kind of other preventions, right? What will happen while they are putting things into the Azure or any of the cloud platform? What will happen, right? If any of those files is missed, company has to pay a huge amount. We cannot imagine that, and it's a complete loss to the companies. That's where there is best use cases for all of those things. Certainly, there are multiple other sectors they can also utilize it. There is no restrictions around it, but you can utilize. So these are the few of the business use cases where literally if your system is literally critical, it will have to go with the confidential computing. And it is just recently, I think, yeah, a year back it just launch, or 6 months, but it is there from the beginning. Once it is in preview, and now it is good. Let's just talk about like what could be the benefits which we got around it, and in between, if you have guys has any questions, please feel free to put into the chat what it does, what are the how it is going to benefit it, and how it is going to help you out. I'll have a lab also in that, which I'll be going to show you that how you're going to create a confidential computing, and what are the resources we are going to learn, all of those things. What are the services are going to supported, what are the things is not supported, and all. The things is, first of all, it's prevent from the unauthorized access. So if I say prevent from the unauthorized access, apart from your environment, apart from your, the applications which your engineers are working, anyone, if they're trying to log in from outside or within the same company, which is not in the same environment, they have a restricted environment or DMG environment, right? Demilitarized zone. In that case, within the company also someone is trying to access, it will deny, because it has the separate code, it has a separate encryption key mechanism. Until and unless you log into the system, until and unless you will be in the environment, no one will be able to access, and we can restrict that. The second one is it meets your regulatory compliance. What does it mean? There are many companies which wanted a regulatory compliance that data should be encrypted in all the forms, that the data should be within their locality. Let's just say if it is in India, it could be in let's just say South India, it could be within the India region, it should not go outside of that. The data would be encrypted end to end, the data have a backup and all of those things. So it does also help you to meet your regulatory compliance related steps. The data privacies, like it will secure your data in a such a way that you can maintain your data privacy, and apart from that, key stakeholders, so no one will have an access to that particular data, or you can share it around it. Then it secures from the multiple parties of data analytics, because if you're building in some of the applications, it does not mean that you cannot take out the data and do it some of the data analytics stuffs, you would need it that also, right? So what will happen will allow only those specific endpoint or those services so they can only access within the limited scope rather than putting hundreds of REST APIs and they are bombarding and then taking any and every data. So tell sure whether multiple parties or multiple vendors of if they wanted to do in data analytics and other things. It does also help you to isolate your complete processing, the complete data processing. It does help. So what it does help, it just isolate your processings, the data, the things around it, right? And that's where it just secure your complete environment, which is your critical. Apart from that, the what does it supports is bring your own key. Let's just say there are multiple of customers, they don't want it to go with the Microsoft key, though even they don't have access to it, but they don't want it to go with that. They wanted to create their own key. You can use your key vault and you can create your own key. That is the one part. But if you wanted to having some of the mechanism as an on premises or some of the third party tool which you wanted to integrate and encrypt those things, I think there is an option also that you can do it, but I'm not sure on that part. But for the key vault, yes, you can create your own key. You can restrict this and you can utilize your own key and you can bring your own key and encrypt it. So no one will have access to those key until and unless the specific code or until unless the specific resources which are critical and they are running this whole businesses, right? Or they are running the whole applications. So this is really, really important and it just helps immensely to all of those customers who is just looking kind of in your DMG environment, which is there in their own premises data centers, would be similarly to that would be available in Azure as well, right? Then why this confidential computing? What does it support? What does it not support? And all of those things. How does encrypt things, right? And things I'm just going to put in there in between. If you guys have any questions, probably I can take it up. Any questions till now?
Uh, Lalit, no questions.
Okay.
We can proceed.
Yep. Okay. So sorry, I'm just so what this confidential VMs, right, will help you. So you can create those virtual machines which is in DC, ASV3 or EC. Basically, this is the family of D series and the E series, which is a version of 5. And I'll show you that how you can, differentiate these stuffs. So when you select those, there would be, say a general purpose or the confidential computing. I'll show you while I'm, creating this or I'll be, doing the demo. Apart from that, it is, robust in your hardware based isolations from the virtual machines between the virtual machines and your hypervisor host, right? So the RAM, which they'll get it right in between it just put that some of kind of coding layer that'll encrypt and decrypt. So it'll make sure that it is isolated between the hypervisor layer as well as your within the virtual machines, right? So only the things it is until unless it's encrypt and decrypt, the hypervisor layer will not be able to connect, but the resources and everything would be there. There are certain things in there, right? Then even you can have your customizable policies, which your host can be compliance before you're going to deploy. Apart from that, it encrypts your end-to-end operating systems from the disk encryptions. So you can encrypt your operating systems before your first boot, right? So if someone has, I won't say like the guy who has 3 to 4 years of experience, but uh, the old folks, they might be heard about BitLocker encryptions or the PGP encryptions, and I saw it like as and when I boot my system, right? I can see that PGP will say put your password, put your key. Once we'll put it that, and then only my operating systems will load, right? So that level of encryptions is there. Then VM will be encrypted with that platform or the customer key, or you can bring your own key, which I have discussed, right? Even you can have a secure key which you can release cryptographic bindings between your platform or attestations VMs and utilize and encrypt those key. Then I'll have a TPM, trusted module instances, right? What it does is it encrypt your VM from the hardware level and protects your key and secret, right, in the virtual machines. Then you can able to securely boot, and those capabilities, which is basically launches and trusted launch for Azure VMs and all of those things. So what are they saying, that whatever you feel in your laptop or your organizations put in a PGP or BitLocker encryptions kind of steps, the same as now you can feel it in utilizing those features. You can deploy it in Azure as well, and which is not possible for couple of years back, but now that is also possible. So you can see like how Microsoft is committing towards confidential computing and then the other products in terms of security and then the vulnerability and making sure that end to end their customers would be secure and they will be utilizing their services. Now, what are the things will not support, right? The things which is not support, but probably it will come in near future. First is Azure batch. If you are running off any of the batch services which you wanted to do it, you cannot do it. The Azure backup, you cannot take the Azure backup. Then site recovery. If you wanted to do a DR and kind of other stuffs, for now it is not supported, but slowly and eagerly it will come. Then there is an Azure dedicated host. So Azure dedicated host, some things which say that Microsoft Azure, this is the compute resource I will be dedicatedly using, because as and when if you go into the cloud, always a shared resources with me, shared across the VMs. But if you say the dedicated host, you would need it, then probably there would be a little bit cost around it, right? Then you can can't do it a scale set, and then the confidential OS disk encryptions enabled. So you can create a skill set, but OS disk encryptions will not be enabled into it, right? Then there are limited features. I have heard this, the computer gallery. You can create your own custom image, and you can create the VM for confidential computing, right? And you can utilize it. Even you can, but there would be some of the limited features that probably you cannot run this and all of those things. The shared disk, the ultra disk, you cannot utilize the ultra disk or the shared disk, but there is a standard disk, and there is a premium disk SSD which you can utilize for that. The accelerated networking will not be supported into the confidential VM, and the live migrations would also comes into the picture, which is also a part of kind of site recovery if you wanted to migrate your VMs from one place to another place, or do a site recovery or a backup and all of those things, right? So all of those things which you feel it is kind of does not support your things, right? So this is the one part which I just wanted to make sure that what it does support, what does not support, and how does it feel it. Then there is data protections, right? How you are going to protect your data. I have talk about a lot of confidential computing and told you around that how does it work, what it work, and all of those things. But what will happen when you have a data protections, right? How you're going to protect your data? Let's just say within your organization someone has deleted the data. How you're going to recover, right? You have a VM. Someone has accidentally deleted the VM. How are you going to get those data around it? Let's just say if you don't have the backup, or someone is trying to delete a single resource, let's just say storage account or VM and some things, what will happen? or in production, apart from the approved resources or apart from the approved, engineers, someone has come and, changed those things. What will happen in that, right? So I'm covering all of those areas. So resource lock will help you to prevent your data from the accidental deletions, right? So accidental deletions in the sense someone will come and delete, but if you have a lock, let's just say log will be two types. One is read only, another one is delete only. So if you put a log, let's just say delete only. So someone is trying to delete resources within your resource group, they won't be able to delete until unless you remove the log. Same with goes the read only. Until unless you'll remove that read only lock, no one will be able to, modify. Even they cannot able to, probably, delete or add a disk or modify the VM sizes and all of those things. So none of the delete operations or read only, like none of the operations will works there, right? That is the one part which literally help, but in a general cause, we just think, okay, just a lock. Why we have to put in? But it really helps because as and when the cloud is, moving that was fast and I'll have a thousands of servers, a thousands of resource group, how will make sure some things will not happen? There are a couple of services which you can recover with the support of Microsoft, but there are many services which you cannot recover. The data you cannot recover once you delete it. Or if you don't have the backup, how are you going to do that? Let's just say you recovered also, but there would be some of the configurations is missed. Well, I have to rewrite all of those things again, right? So it does prevents from that. Then I have a backup center. So ultimately, how are you going to get your virtual machines backup, your file share backup, your SQL database, SAP VMs, right? And PostgreSQL and your blob, your storage account, and all of those things it does support in that way also. Then blob versioning will help you if you're continuously putting the files. So if you enable the blob versioning, it will just create a version of that particular file. If the one file is getting modified all the times, and there would be one of the engineers has put some of those things which corrupted the file, still you can recover your old version. The version which is just created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7 one is corrupted. Then you can recover your sixth one, right? And then you can retry and put your data around it. That is something which is the blob versioning does it, right? Then I'll have a you can restore from the accidental deletions, right? What you can do that, let's just say you deleted your storage account. I did it once, but in my lab. So I just wanted to recover that data. I connected with the Microsoft. I have a LRS and GRS read only. So they help us. They help me to restore that complete storage account with the same storage resource group and all of those things. So yes, if you having those backup policies, the storage account, Azure applications kind of stuff, right? It does also help from your accidental deletions. It will restore your data. Let's just say I have a backup for a VM and I deleted the VM or I deleted the backup also. But it does also help you to restore your VMs if you allow that it will be store your data for last 14 days, right? So you can still recover those VMs. So there is a couple of configurations which you have to do. I'll show you that what are the configurations you wanted to put in. The blob, if you enable the blob soft delete, your if you delete also, it will be deleted, but there would be a secondary copy always available, so you can recover that also. Okay, then we'll have a snapshots. So whenever you have a blob or files and all of those things, you can take a snapshots around it, and once you have those snapshots, you can restore those things anytime. And all of those things I'm going to perform in my lab, and I'll show you how those things will work. Then I'll have a container soft delete. Let's just say you deleted your blob or a container. So container don't say that it's a Kubernetes container part. That is a blob container. So blob storage account initially they have changed that name to a container. Okay, that is some things I put that as a container. I'll show you in the lab. So this container soft delete will help you if you deleted the whole container which has a bunch of data. If you enable the soft delete, you will be able to recover all of those data around it. Okay. So this is, some things kind of, in terms of data protections, the confidence computing. So how you are going to secure your end-to-end layer, and that is also, if you have a SQL databases and other services, app services and all, you can, initiate the backup for those services also. And there are other multiple of services which can initiate the backup and have it around it. And then I'll just say it's demo time. I'll just walk you through the demo. In between, if you guys has any queries, any questions, probably would love to take it. No questions. I think all are brilliant student. They understand. Okay. So let me just give me one sec. That's a brilliant attendees. Sorry for my board. Okay. You're able to see my portal. Please confirm anyone.
Yes.
That's okay. Awesome. So I'll tell you like what are this confidential computings will work. So I'll just search for here. There are even the confidence computing will work on Kubernetes as well. They have recently having that also. So you can encrypt your Kubernetes and SQL databases also. They have it, some of those encryption mechanism, and there are a couple more other services. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just quickly search for them. Okay, I'm just going to take this just to show you. So this is Ubuntu with the confidential VM, right? And if you can see that, I'll go and click on create this particular product. Now I'll just have some power user group. Then I'll just put the name, just say and we'll be creating an HTTPS. The image which I want, I can have either the Windows or I'll just put this in Ubuntu. Okay. Now what you're going to see is sorry. Give me one sec. Now you can see, right, these two, the VM architecture. So this is your, ARM is your AMD processor, right? And then x64 would be your, kind of, you can say that it's your Intel or things so around it, right? So you can, select the VM architecture, which is not presented. If I'll just say ARM, right? I just select it, but it'll say your architecture x64, but ARM64 does not support it. You might have to, select those sizes. I'll say, okay, D series. So now you'll see, right? All of this is the general purpose computing. So, but we would need some of those VMs which does support. So this is the things which is is supported, but you can choose another one. So now if you wanted to have an kind of spot instances and things around it, you can do that. But I'll also show you a couple of other size DC one, right? So you can see, right, these are the you can see for that confidential computing. So if I don't have those compute for now, but if you can see this DC computing, if I'll select this one and it'll help you with this. So as and when you're going and creating those VMs, you always have to have select this DC2 instance size, and there would be multiple one, right? But and then if you see this Azure SSS key would be creating automatically, and then I'll have a public inbound and outbound port. So just for the lab and the showing purpose, even it is also asked to encrypt your data, OS and these things, right? Then another part is that you can it ask you it as you wanted to have your platform managed key or you wanted to utilize your own key. So you can select that, and then it does also tell that with this series Alta disk is supported, but in terms of confidential computing it does not support on that part. So then you can have your networking related stuff. You can always create the VM using your ARM template or the PowerShell, right? And if you wanted to if you select this while you're deleting the VMs with the NIC card and all, it just get byte everything is in one shot. But do not enable the public IPs and things around it. And let's just say for the management, you can always have your backups here and enable it. That is one part. Then you'll have monitoring and then the advanced options, which you can create your own extensions and put those things. Now it'll have a user data. So you can, if you wanted to enable the user data through this particular virtual machines, storing your secret and then credentials, you can do that. Earlier it is not coming up, but now if you wanted to perform in higher storage things, host, or if you have any capacity reserved which you wanted to utilize, you can do that, right? And then tag review and create. So everyone knows that how to create a VM. So I'm just going to skip this. But as I told, right, you'll have these things here, the VM architecture, and this is my favorite part, that how it is going to be. So right, if you choose this and this particular virtual machines, what is going to is provide the most software compatibility with ARM 64 VMs and provides 50% better performance. And if you wanted to go with this, how that is going to help, right? And even you can just click on learn more, and you can kind of see the process architecture, and it will help you that what kind of the processor you are utilizing, what kind of the things you are going to use, and all of those things would be there. So I always learn from those this kind of things, right? If I wanted to have a quick knowledge around it, and I thought of to share with you, it does also help you in that part. Now I'll go to the storage account. I'll show you that how you're going to protect the data. So this is a storage account which I just created. Now, initially this initially this particular stuff, right? This one that is called as a blob, but now the name has changed to the container. And who doesn't know that it's the same terminology, because earlier they have a blob and then the blob. So if I'll click on this particular container, right? I'll go and create one more container saying that, and then It also asked me what are the encryption scopes, right? Or you wanted to use and other options and all limited version. That is, I have not enabled, so it is not coming, but I'll tell you how it will come. So I've just, put this, I'll just have, a couple of files. Even once it is uploaded, I'll show you the how you're going to create your snapshots, then things around it, right? So once I have this, you can automate also. I'll select this one, right? I'll go and create a snapshot. And if I click on view snapshot, so if you can see, I have clicked 3 times and it's just 3 PPTs are here, right? So if I wanted to, download any of those things, so let's just say I just wanted to, promote, I can do that. I wanted to, added those files. It's not possible for now. The file size is exceeded limit, but if it is 2.1 MB kind of things, we can added all of those files. There is version, no version is available. And even if I wanted to delete, let's just see. I'm not sure it will come or not, but let me just delete this file. No. So it is also asking, do you want it to delete the blob in snapshot? I'll just say no. This is the file which I deleted, but if I'll say view snapshots here, you can find out here, right? And then this file, if you can see, it would be in your, deleted kind of stuffs, because this is something which, so the deleted blobs. See, this is the current version file which we have, deleted here, and it comes here. So you can, if you wanted to restore, you can click and you can create a snapshot, download and re-upload it, or do whatever you wanted to do. So that is the one part which I just wanted to show you. The second one is just coming into the data management, the data protections here. So enable the operational backup with Azure backup. This is the one part of it which you can do it. So you'll have to click on enable, and then it will ask you the key vault and then backup policies, and you can enable it from here. That you can do it. And then if you wanted to enable point in time restorations for your container, let's just say you are putting hundreds of files there, and there are a specific file which you wanted to recover. So, or there is, versioning or change feeds, or there would be, soft delete kind of stuff. So that and all has to be enabled if you wanted to, restore your file from the point in time that you can do it. Then there is a soft delete. So if your data will be deleted within the 7 days, you can recover your own. And if I'll just put, let's just say 380, I don't think so it does support. So it does support for 365 days. That is one. You can also enable the soft delete container, the permanent should delete items. So if you deleted some things permanently, right, what will happen? It's enables a soft delete snapshots or the blob versioning before your retention period is ends into it. And let's just say I have seen lot of resources that they have deleted some of the file, and after 2 months you're jumping in and saying, oh, I just missed my file, it's just there. But they deleted a month back or 2 months back. How they're going to retrieve that file, right? So this is some things which is literally helpful, and it does, help you to, prevent the data from the multiple sources and things around it, right? That is one. Same with the object applications. If you come here, you can create our applications policies. So if I just wanted to, create our applications rule here, I can say what are the destinations. So if I wanted to, have the same data within the destination storage account, for that I would have to create this particular, particular rule. So I can, if I wanted to, move that data to my ABD labs. So this data would be replicated to my ABD labs, the different storage accounts. So one storage account to another storage account. And now I'll have to select the source container and the destination container if you have it. I don't have it now. So it does automatically replicate. So your data would be there in your primary container or primary container as well as the secondary container. And that is something if one is missed, you can still able to recover. The second part is life cycle management. How you want your storage account life cycle to be managed in terms of data and then things around it, right? So you can put the rule and what are those, types of rule you wanted to create, or you wanted to limit your block filter. So blob, then appendant block, base blob, snapshots, and then versioning that is there. So I'll just put some of those names there and then I'll click on next, right? What are the rule you wanted to modify? It's a last modified or last created based on the conditions, right? The rule will be created. Your if you're going to delete, modify, or change anything, that will be still replicated, right? And it will make sure what will happen if you delete, right? If I delete last modified more than 10 days, what you wanted to do? You wanted to move to cold storage or move to archive storage. So basically, if you do so, what will happen? Your data will be moved to the hot tier to the cool tier. Okay. So in that case, you can also save the cost. Let's just say you have 10 years of old data, which you are not utilizing for a month or 6 months and 7 months or a year. You can, create those rules and move those data, which has been not modified for 4 months or 5 months or 6 months or 10 months, move to the archive tier or move to the cool storage account where, cost will be the minimum. But if you are frequently utilizing your data, would have to put into the hot tier. Don't go with the cool tier because it will be a costlier for you. Okay, that is one. And how you're going to, recover your deleted storage accounts. So if I'll, that last, if I'll come here, check to, recover my deleted storage account. So this is, this, comes here. Probably these are the storage accounts which can be deleted. So if I wanted to, just restore this and deleted. This account has not been deleted, so you won't get options, but I just wanted to show you things around it. HS, it'll help you as well. So, and then the backup center one, which I just wanted to cover up little quick. And there is an amazing policies come up. I'm not sure how many of you know, but it's a demands or it's a request from the customer for a quite long, saying that they need to have a backup policies, something which is, then 24/7. If I wanted to take the data backup for multiple times, yes, it is there. So now I guess it was in preview. Now it's in general availability, but we can just check it. I cannot confirm on the general availability because I haven't looked at, but I read it somewhere it's in general availability. So now if I wanted to take a backup, I'll click on backup, whether it is virtual machines. You can say SQL VMs, storage, SAP HANA, Azure Disk, Azure Files, and then PostgreSQL as well. So this is the one part which you can, enable the backup. And I do also understand there is a time limitations, so I cannot help you with end-to-end labs for now. but I'll make sure that I can, give you this much of glimpse that you can go and, try at your own. So there is, recovery vault. I can, select the vault from here. I'll just click on continue. Now, okay. So there is two policies, right? One policy is which will say once a day backup, which is 1 to 5 days operational tier and ZRS snapshots tier and supported for the trusted Azure VMs. The second one is multiple backups per day, but it's still in preview. I'm sorry. So if I'll click on this, so let's just see that how does it make difference. So now if you can see every 4 hours, right, it is going to create the backup and you can retain your instance recovery snapshot for 2 days. This is why default is going to create it. But if we wanted to create, we can, modify all of those things. Okay. What is your every 8 a.m. it will take a one backup. Then how you wanted to make sure every 4 hours you wanted to take a backup, every 6 hours, 8 hours or 12. So if it is 8 hours, then 3 backup. If it is 6 hours, also it is 4 backup. But as 4 hours, I think it's going to be six. Yep, 6 to 7 and more than that. But if it is 12 hours, it is just only the two backup which you wanted to take it. So I'll just select, okay, just two backup for me, which one it taken as 8 a.m. and then it's in 8 a.m. at the night. But that has also helped so many customers because they wanted to comply with the data. They wanted to, putting their SQL data around it, putting their VMs, and they wanted to have a retentions and all of those things which literally serve that. Now I'll have a weekly retentions backup, then I'll have a monthly retention backup, then yearly retention backup. You can always, select based on your project requirement, based on your company requirement, right? Or think so. But this is something which you can really, take it to your learning and you can, and then you can click on enable the backup. I have already those VMs to be enabled and there would be, let's just say site recovery vault. Which is basically used for your DR and all of those things. So in this, it is also the private endpoint. You can enable it, and then you can enable your DR strategies and all. But if you really wanted to look out what are the backup items you have, so I have only one virtual machines. The what are the items that are going to replicate, and all of your policies, infrastructure, and things would be here.
We have 5 more minutes.
Yeah, that's okay. That site recovery, backup alerts, and all of those things you can do it. So I'm just have a lot to cover, but as there is a time limit, I would see to demo to say not to buy, but you can always connect over in LinkedIn. And thank you to ICSS team, the security team, the partners, Osisto and Rapido, Pentra, Microsoft, and then Avende, and then I'll have a thank you note from this is my LinkedIn and my two books. If you would like to, connect with me over in LinkedIn, please do reach out to me. I will be happy to help you around it. And in between, if you guys have any questions, please do, put into the chat. I would be happy to help you.
Thank you, Lalit.
Thanks, Nagas. Sorry. Thanks, Narasimha. No questions? Okay. That's great. And thank you so much for attending the sessions and hope you really find a great content and then you really find a good one. So we'll connect again in the session or the next session.